Last episode, we finally measured our assistant and the number was brutal, 3 out of 5. It was giving confident, wrong answers, and when we looked at why, every single failure told the same story. It retrieved the wrong note. You asked about Netflix and it pulled up Spotify. And here is the thing that trips up almost everyone. The model was never the problem. A perfect model fed the wrong note will still hand you a perfectly wrong answer. Your retrieval is quietly feeding it junk. So today we fix retrieval properly with the parts most tutorials skip. And then we do the single most satisfying thing in this entire season. We rerun that exact same test and we watch the number climb. So why did asking about Netflix pull up the Spotify note? Go back to how we search. In episode 3, we turned every note into a point in meaning space and we grabbed the nearest one. But think about what nearest in meaning actually does here. To a meaning search, my Netflix subscription and my Spotify subscription are almost the same idea. Both are monthly subscriptions. Both are things you pay for, both renew. So when you ask about one, the other is sitting right next to it, and the search can easily grab the wrong twin. Meaning search threw away the one detail that told them apart. The actual word, Netflix. And that is the blind spot of searching purely by meaning. It is brilliant with concepts and genuinely fuzzy with exact names, codes, and keywords. Now here is a beautiful twist. Remember the keyword search we threw away in episode 3. The dumb one, that search for the literal word and completely missed that renew and build mean the same thing. It turns out that dumb tool has the exact strength meaning search is missing. Search the literal word Netflix and only the Netflix note matches. Exactly. Zero confusion with Spotify. So look at what we are holding. Keyword search is razor sharp on exact words and blind to meaning. Meaning search is brilliant with meaning and fuzzy on exact words. They fail in opposite directions, which raises a fairly obvious question. Why on earth are we choosing between them? We don't choose. We use both. You run the meaning search and the keyword search at the same time, and then you fuse their two ranked lists into one. The keyword side locks onto the exact word Netflix. The meaning side still handles renew versus build. Each one covers the other's blind spot, and suddenly the right note has two different reasons to come out on top. This is called hybrid search, and it is one of the biggest upgrades most basic RAG is missing. The only fiddly part is merging two ranked lists fairly, and there is a clean trick for it with a heavyweight name, reciprocal rank fusion. But all it really says is this: a note that both searches rank highly should win, and a note that either search loves should at least make the shortlist. That is the whole idea. Hybrid search gets you a great shortlist, say the top 5, but the top 5 is not the same as the right one in first place. So we add one more stage and it is the secret weapon, a reranker. Here is the key difference. Our embedding search was fast but rough because it had to turn each note into a single point on its own ahead of time, long before it ever saw your question. A reranker is slow but sharp because it looks at your question and one candidate note together, side by side, and actually reads how well they fit. You could never run that over 1,000,000 notes. It is far too slow, but over a short list of 5, it is cheap. So you let fast and rough narrow those 1,000,000 notes down to 5, and then you let slow and sharp study those 5 and pick the true winner and put it in first place. Narrow with speed, choose with care. One last piece, and it actually runs before any of this. The moment your documents are longer than a sticky note, you hit it. Real documents are long, so you have to break them into chunks before you store them. And this matters far more than it sounds. Cut a document in the wrong place, and the answer to a question gets split across 2 chunks, with neither one holding the whole thing. Now no search on earth can retrieve it cleanly, because the complete answer doesn't live in any single piece you stored. Good chunking, splitting on real boundaries like paragraphs or sections, with a little overlap so nothing falls through the cracks, is the unglamorous foundation that all the fancy search sits on top of. Garbage chunks in, garbage retrieval out. So let's rebuild our retrieval for real and rerun the test. Same notes, same 5 questions, same judge from last episode. First, I add keyword search right alongside the meaning search and fuse the two with that rank fusion. Then I add the reranker on top to study the shortlist and reorder it. And now, the moment of truth. I run the exact same eval. Last time, remember, it was 3 out of 5. And now, 4 out of 5. The number moved. The Netflix question that grabbed Spotify. Fixed. The literal word Netflix finally counts, so keyword search pulled the right note and the reranker locked it into first place. And notice what we did not touch. Not the model, not the prompt. We only changed what we put in front of it and the score went up. That is what real progress looks like, not a feeling. A number that actually moved. Now let's be honest about the one that is still wrong. The music streaming question. The words music and streaming appear in none of my notes, and a search does not automatically know that Spotify means music streaming. So neither search ever pulled up the Spotify note at all. And here is the iron rule of reranking. It can only reorder the notes you already found. It cannot rescue one you never retrieved. Which is the perfect setup for the most important sentence in this episode. So that is how you go from a rag that embarrasses you to one you can actually trust. Chunk your documents well. Search by keyword and by meaning together. Then re-rank the shortlist. And one note on where this is heading. Splitting well is the baseline, but the 2026 upgrade is giving each chunk its document context back, through what people call contextual retrieval or late chunking. Anthropic measured a version of this, cutting retrieval failures by roughly a third, which is exactly the kind of number this episode taught you to watch. The other frontier is agentic, or adaptive retrieval, where the system itself decides whether to retrieve, what to retrieve, and how many times. But the right path is the one you just walked. Hybrid, then re-rank, then measure, and only add that complexity when your eval actually demands it. But here is the honest ceiling, and it is worth carving somewhere permanent. Your whole system can never be smarter than what retrieval hands the model. Retrieval is the cap on everything above it. A flawless model, given the wrong paragraph, gives you a flawless, confident, wrong answer every single time, which is the entire reason we spent a whole episode learning to measure it. So look how far you have come. You have an assistant that knows your world and proves it with a number that you watched go up. But notice what your assistant still can't do on its own. By itself, the model can only answer. It can't run a calculation, look up today's date, or take a real action out in the world. By itself, it is a text predictor, not a calculator. You have probably seen ChatGPT do these things, but that is only because someone wired tools onto it. Next episode, we do exactly that. We give your assistant hands and we turn it into an agent.